feel like I probably got a little bit of explaining to do because obviously I've put it out there in this. I suppose the title is "I am not a bodybuilder." Um, Now it's pretty obvious if you've seen me. I've, I'm not a bodybuilder. I don't have these really large bulging muscles. I don't compete. I know I've done like one show a few years back. It's a bit of a novelty, but I'm not somebody who basically does all of that stuff. But this podcast isn't about me and my training so much. It's actually a lot more to do with most of you and how you approach your training, and your nutrition and your overall fitness goals. And what I tend to find is most of you don't identify who you are and what your goals are, um, from the get go. You often kind of just go down the road that you think you're supposed to go down because you have these preconceived ideas, and they're spread through the culture, you know. Um, Generally speaking, when somebody thinks of the gym, they think of lifting weights, they think of men doing bicep curls, they think of women on a treadmill, and blah, 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 blah. All of that super cliche stuff that isn't necessarily what anybody needs to be doing or has to be doing to get an outcome. And a lot of social media right now, I suppose, especially the images that you might come across and maybe what we've had over the years from magazines, has perpetuated this idea that when you go to the gym, predominantly you're trying to get in shape and you're going to do like bodybuilding stuff to do this, right? You're going to work your muscles and you're going to train to failure, and you're gonna go hard like a bodybuilder goes hard in those YouTube training videos that you've probably come across. Machiavelli motivation. I'm sure some of you are familiar with that YouTube channel. Um, but that's not the direction I would recommend you go. Most of us aren't bodybuilders in the sense that we're looking to, build a competitive physique, one that we're going to take to the stage, and go through sort of the process of competition prep, and do all the dieting and be in a very semi-starved state, and get really shredded and get tan and hit some poses. And if that is you, cool, crack on with that. Who I'm talking to right now is everybody else. And what I mean by everybody else is, a lot of people do want to improve the way that their physique looks. Some I know guys will want to have a little bit more, bigger arms and chest and all that good stuff, and big trend with women wanting to get more glutes, bigger glutes, and all that other kind of stuff. Let me not sort of generalize too much. You might, whoever you are, you want whatever you want, um, but you might not want it to the extent that bodybuilders want it. So, is doing what they do the best course of action for you? Um, I would say no. It's a course of action, and certainly by doing bodybuilding, you will achieve results. We have seen that. It's just not the only thing that you can do, and more often than not, it's not ideal for you because bodybuilding is a commitment. They often, if you follow any bodybuilders, they love talking about how it's a lifestyle. Go hard or go home. You're 100% in or nothing, right? Kind of thing, and that's just not practical for most of us. So, whilst that is certainly their approach and their choice, and there's nothing wrong with that, it might not be how you want to proceed. So, what should you really focus on? Um, well, even if you are looking to, develop some muscle and maybe have lower body fat and what have you, um, bodybuilding is kind of like jumping into the deep end without having learned to swim. So it's often like to train that hard and that often and that much, your body needs to be in a certain condition. You need to have a certain amount of skill um, in order to do the exercises, and then to have that sort of work capacity and that condition to then be able to complete the workouts and recover from them. It's a lot. So these are probably the things that we look to address first. Your strength, your work capacity, and things like mobility as well, because that matters. A barbell squat is such a commonly talked about and promoted exercise, yet the majority of us actually don't immediately have the mobility in our hips, in our ankles, shoulders, and spine is another one. Because especially if it's a back squat, you're holding the bar behind your head. To actually get into that position and then be able to put weight through that position and that movement. So if you do and you're already kind of struggling with it, and that's where it's just like, oh, okay, my back hurts now or my knee hurts, and that's your body letting you know that maybe you weren't ready for that. And we touched on that a little bit on the last episode with Goldilocks and the Three Bears: pros too hot, too cold, just right. So it's worth developing your mobility. It's worth developing your overall sort of work capacity, your how much volume of work can you do. Do you start with these really intense leg days, 10 sets of 10 on leg press, and like annihilate your quads on the leg extension, and then go and do a bunch of walking lunges afterwards, and then maybe finish off with some calves, or maybe you just start with 3 sets of 8 and just slowly build yourself up, whatever the exercise it is that you choose to do. So you need to start where you are. You need to build up gradually before you start even thinking about, trying to do what you see other people do. So it's absolutely okay to not like go to the gym and kill yourself and have these very intense workouts. You just work out to whatever level is appropriate to you, and you will gradually adapt to that and get stronger and get fitter, and have better cardio and better recovery. And you'll find actually now, if you really want to, you can push the boat a little bit and increase the volume of work that you do, and then start to see more and more of those gains, I suppose. I know that's quite a popular word. So yeah, a lot of cases that I've dealt with back when I did prepare people for like bodybuilding shows and stuff was I had to kind of cut down half of the work that they were doing. I had to change the exercises that they were trying to do, because a lot of them were trying to mimic these, bodybuilding style training programs with lots of volume, lots of exercises, advanced exercises like barbell squats and deadlifts and what have you. And we actually saw much better outcomes when we did half the amount of work, because it was more porridge just right for them. And when we pulled back on some of the more advanced exercises, and put in exercises that sort of matched their mobility where it was at there, and worked on the mobility that they were missing in the background as well, and then gradually worked them back up to be able to do the previous volume and the previous level of advanced exercises that they were doing, and they were feeling better doing it and getting better outcomes. So even in those scenarios, it's just, again, getting somebody exactly where they need to be. So yeah, look, you're still going to be training. You're still going to see changes to your physiques. All the all the drop sets and supersets and the bicep curls and all that. It can come later, so don't really need to rush into that. So yeah, I hope that kind of makes sense. I'm not sure if I've sort of stayed on track there. There's like a million things in my head most of the time, and I've had a lot of time over the, however many years to think about all this, and many conversations that I've had in my own head and things I've written down. So I am very, very prone to going off into tangents, and I always have this like nagging sense that I'm missing out a ton of like important information or perspectives or viewpoints. But I know I have a tendency to drift off into many different avenues. So hopefully I've kind of stuck to the point there a little bit. And I'll sort of end with questions that annoy me, because it was one of the things I wanted to touch on as well. I don't do like bodybuilding style training anymore. My goals have shifted a little bit. Whilst I still might do a few bicep curls here and there, um, I'm no longer seeking, to check if my muscles have gotten bigger, or, if I'm gonna have even more detail from dieting down, whatever, all that kind of stuff. I'm a lot more interested in, am I stronger? Um, Am I faster? Am I fitter? I like working on body weight skills like handstands and front levers and pistol squats and that kind of stuff. So my sort of training has drifted more into performance based, I suppose, because that's what's more interesting to me at this point. So one of the things that annoy me, I think, is when you get the gym bro or gym broette. You guys know who you are. Like, oh, what are you training today? And there's usually some sort of preset answer to that, right? Like leg day or back day or chest day, or I'm doing arms today. And for a long time, I just really struggled with that question because I was like, I'm not doing any of those things. And it was such a mishmash of different exercises and movements that I couldn't even, capsulate that into like a one single worded day. So I just learned to avoid that question, or just be like, oh, I'm not doing anything, I'm just messing around, which in a way I am, because there's a bit of play involved. But yeah, um, to sum it up, I eat for health and enjoyment, not for shreds, and I exercise for health and fitness, not necessarily for gains. I am not a bodybuilder. All right. Thank you so much for listening, watching, whatever you're doing. I hope this all comes out pretty well with the sound and the video and everything. And if you've got any comments or feedback, feel free to leave them wherever this is posted: Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, whatever it might be. I'm still figuring all that stuff out. Feel free to share, of course, and I will take everything on board. Nothing gets taken too personally. I'm still figuring it out, so no ego attached to any of this. Just want to have some fun with it and hopefully share some things that might be of use to somebody out there. All right, hopefully the next one won't be 3 months away, but thank you for listening so far, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace.